And with that, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Tarek Meguid. Tarek was in September working in a hospital in Gaza, and he's going to speak to us about his experiences from Gaza. Tarek, welcome, and the floor is yours, Tarek.
Thank you, Miriam, and thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me. It was a bit of a struggle to get this connection. Yes, I also see in the program that before I had 15 minutes, now I only have 5. I hope that's not true, otherwise I claim my rights as a speaker. I just want to introduce myself a little bit. I saw a documentary on biracial children, and there a child said something along the lines that I will now use, which I think is really nice. I'm 100% German, I'm 100% Egyptian, and I'm 1,000% me. And I think we are all humans, and this is the most important thing. So 800% are still free. And my work is an obstetrician. I'm an obstetrician, a clinician, and I have worked all my life in Southern Africa and East Africa. I've also been in Namibia during the War of Independence of apartheid South Africa. And that was the only war experience I had before I went to Gaza in September. While I was in Namibia at the time, we saw horrible things, really, truly horrible things, but we were never had any fear of ourselves, our lives, or anything in the hospital. The hospital was off limits to the military, to the SADF. So that was okay. But this experience in Namibia, combined with the way women are treated, as I said, I'm an obstetrician, in impoverished situations, in poor situations, really triggered an interest to human rights in me. And I think maternal health care is also a human rights issue on its own. And what I always thought and still think is that human rights need to be brought down from all these charters and big political meetings to the here and now to everybody. And that is also what Martin said in his introduction about the fact that the UN charters are very simple. And it is very simple. And when I went to Gaza in September, I must say it was, it has changed me. I have never seen the amount of destruction there. We had to go through Israel because there was no other way to enter. And the moment you are in Rafah, in the south of Gaza, you realize everything is destroyed, and you know there must be many bodies under the rubble. My hospital was in a little bit north of the center, Al Auda Hospital, where I was working as an obstetrician, and usually the doctors who come from outside are trauma surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, that kind of people. Because, of course, trauma is a big thing. There are not many psychiatrists because there's also a lot of mental trauma, of course. And there are basically no gynecologists, but that is changing because also sexual violence and gender-based violence are coming up. But my time there, I must say, apart from the physical danger and the pure impact on seeing so much destruction, and hearing the bombs being dropped throughout the day, but you never know when, and you never know where. And I realized for the first time how small the Gaza Strip actually is. It's 40 kilometers long and 8 kilometers broad. It's wide, it's just nothing. And so when bombs are falling, you hear them, even if they are so-called far away, then you have a feeling of thunderstorm or something. But when they come down very close, it's like an earthquake. You can't miss it. And I had an interesting little encounter with one of my colleagues there when the bomb just dropped, I think 1 block away, maybe from the hospital. He said, music. Then I told him, I think you need a shrink, you need a psychiatrist. Then his answer was, all of us in Gaza, everyone needs a psychiatrist. And I think that's true. When we see, I saw so many dead bodies I've never seen in my life. They're all brought to the hospital and wrapped up in these white cloths. Some you could still see the faces. It's massive. It's really massive. And then you go to the hospital in the morning. I stayed somewhere else. Then another house is gone. Another atrocity really has happened. And we also saw many medical students who came from the universities, all of which have been destroyed. Not a single university in Gaza is still standing, but the students really try to learn, keep learning. And when you speak then with your colleague, when I spoke with my colleagues and working there, the work as such was so good because you could see that everyone is together. It's really solidarity. If you think of human rights, everyone there is aware of his or her human right and that of the patients, even though because of the incredible amount of patients, which is so high because so many hospitals have been destroyed. And this hospital was okay-ish in the sense it could handle most obstetric cases. But that also meant that you had to leave, for example, after cesarean section very quickly, go home. Home many times meant a tent, nothing else. So there was not much room. There was also not much room to actually provide the comprehensive spiritual or mental health care that you should give every woman who is in labor. That wasn't possible, but at least it was possible to give physical care. And you could see the spirit of togetherness of the whole team. And by team, I don't mean only doctors and nurses and midwives. I also mean cleaners and administrators and everyone who is there. And you never know whether you will find your colleague the next morning. He might be dead or the family might be dead. And when we had our talks, of course, we talked about medicine, but we also talked about the situation. I could clearly see there's no hatred because there's no time for hatred. There is no such thing. There is also not real talk about politics. It's really about the most basic thing about human dignity and about humanity, being human, physically, mentally, spiritually. And that changed me the most. And I would say that my contribution was not so much medically speaking. Of course, I worked all the time, but that gave a little bit relief to my colleagues. But it was more the ability to talk and to let the tears come, to really express all the horrible dilemmas that the people in Gaza are having. I mean, at the time, now nobody can leave, but once you could have left, you didn't leave because you felt you could not let down your patients or your colleagues. Imagine somebody would have killed, and many have been killed, as you know, and you sit safe in Amman or in Cairo or wherever. What a dilemma. And now you are there. You must be afraid of your children being killed, and many, many children are being killed. So it's horrible, and the tears are flowing. And I think this is what human rights is about. It's about the personal level. And what we can do, of course, is showing solidarity, having what the British call social intercourse, which I really like, this word, or these two words rather. It's about that. But of course, the people in power, they must stop this. And I've just seen news of an explosion in The Hague, in the Netherlands, where I studied, by the way. And there the king came to see, and everyone came, and it's right to do that. And people come together, and the children who hear about it get a knuffel, what they call in Dutch a knuffel, which is a knuffel means a hug, but it's a little teddy bear-like something that you can hug for the children. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And maybe the people in power in the Netherlands and in all these countries who are complicit in this genocide that's unfolding in Gaza will find their humanity will be able to see that also Palestinians who suffer are like their own children in The Hague. So I really a bit depressed because of the atrocities I've seen, the whole situation, and the fact that the people in power do not change it, or up to now didn't change it. And when Martin gave this famous MLK quote that the arc of justice, well, that in history the arc of justice, the arc of history tends towards justice. I think that is only true if we add to it, if we make it bend towards justice. It will not do so on its own. And I've seen that now in Gaza. And the solidarity is a good thing. It's really good. Everyone knew about South Africa, the thing at the ICJ, and also now the arrest warrants. All of this is known. All of this gives some positive feeling, but the killing continues. And I saw so many children who are so nice, so laughing and playing, and the parents and everyone doesn't know what is going on in their heads and hearts. How will they ever get over this without becoming as vicious as the ones who perpetrate this genocide? I don't know. It's really something that I think we as a community of human rights people, to put it that way, we must also think about how can we heal. It's not only physical wounds, it's mental wounds that we need to heal. And I think that's important. And this Knuffelbase, these teddy bears, is a nice first step, but it's not only for people living in The Hague. I think that's kind of is what I wanted to say. And I hope we will have maybe some kind of discussion or something later on. If not, but anyway, thank you so much.